Hey, this is Brandon Crawford from the San Francisco Giants, and you're listening to Torture Cast.
You're listening to a podcast by and for fans of the San Francisco Giants.
Let's go, Giants!
With hosts Willie Dills, Chad King, Ben Lee, and Eric Nathanson. Dedicated to the greatest team in Major League Baseball, the San Francisco Giants. This is Torture Cast.
Standing on time, not gonna stop. We came to play, ain't slowing down. Falling on, we're here to stay, and we're stomping on whatever's in our way. I'm feeling like a Giant tonight.
It's Monday, June 13th, 2016, and this is episode 106 of the Torture Cast, the podcast by and for fans of the San Francisco Giants. I'm your host, Chad, and joining me today, as always, because the other two guys just are never here, is one Eric Nathanson. Eric, how you doing out there? It's I didn't mean to crack a joke there, but you're actually going through some serious crap out there, and I just want to extend my condolences to anyone that you might know, and if not, just the community of Orlando, and hope you guys pull through this.
Thanks for that. I'm finding there are people coming out that I'm definitely I've definitely come in contact with. This tragedy. It's hit home. It's strange. We've all, like, as a country, we see these and we feel them and we experience them, but like, this is my backyard. This is where I live. This is where these people work. They're part of our community. I go to Disney all the time, and there were plenty of theme park workers there. So it's hit hard. Like, I've had local news on while everybody else watches CNN and you know what I mean, things like that. Mm-hmm. So it's hit hard, but it's nice that I had the Giants game last night. We have this today. We can talk Giants baseball, get away from it for a little bit, even though we know, it still does affect us all as Americans, humans. It hurts, and it sucks. And I truly believe this community will be stronger afterwards. It's really been great to see them come together. So let's talk some Giants baseball and see how good they're doing in first place right now after a great series against the Dodgers.
Yeah, coming in, you think, okay, this is where they can not make or break their season, but this is where they can put some serious padding on their lead, or this is when the Dodgers catch right back up. And after that first night, it was kind of that, oh, crap, here we go again. Is this going to be the big bump in the road? Is this going to be the continuation of the June swoon that they so regularly seem to go through, despite their great May? What did they have, like 21 wins or something like that in May? I mean, it was insane.
It was 21-8, which tied a San Francisco record for wins in a month.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take a 500 June at this point.
That's what they are. They're 5-5 in June. It's avoiding the June swoon thus far.
So far, they're avoiding it. And they avoided any serious damage against the Dodgers. In fact, they took 2 out of 3. All 3 games were extremely close. The first 2 going into extra innings, each team grabbing one, and then of course yesterday's classic affair as well, where they faced the young 19-year-old phenom Urias, and it was funny because they were tweeting out before the game, here we go, Jake Peavy with like a 6.7 or 6.5 ERA, I can't remember what it was at the beginning of the game, and Urias with a 6.87. He actually had a higher ERA than Jake Peavy, and it was kind of like, okay, let's see how Jake does. But the Giants, I have no statistical backing for this, but I think we've talked about this before. They seem to hit the Cy Young contenders fairly well, better than average, I'd say, for the league. But these young guys who come up that they've never seen, they always seem to struggle against. And so sure enough, I said 6.87 it won't matter. They'll struggle against this guy. And sure enough, they did. They completely struggled against him. They couldn't muster any offense until, of course, later in the game with what Belt did. But my God, I don't know what is going on.
They always seem to do that. You could see Urias last night got like totally in a rhythm.
He did.
He really did. He kind of got in that rocking chair that pitchers get into. But the bonus with him was when Belt got him. It was the 3rd time through the order. Yeah. It was the best time they were going to put good swings on him because this kid hasn't gone deep yet.
No, that was the deepest he's gone all year.
Yeah, he can't go deep in games, and not yet because he's a kid and they need to work it. It's kind of impressive. This kid, he's pitched his first few starts were New York, Chicago, then Los Angeles, and then San Francisco.
Yeah, big.
You can't get pretty much bigger stages in the National League or anything like that. And he held himself up the best against the Giants, but Belt was able to tag him for that one. It was one of those things where you felt like, if they could just get that one little hit, and Belt provided it. It's the kind of game that they've won in years past, the torture type game.
Can you imagine being 19 years old and doing this? I mean, really think about what we were doing when we were 19.
Yeah.
Oh, just much respect to him, and obviously he has great ability, and hopefully he doesn't have a great career, not because I don't like the guy, but because that means he's going to beat the Giants in the future.
Right? It's funny because Urias was pitching and Seager is playing shortstop, and I got to say, Giants fans, Corey Seager's the guy we're going to have to watch out for. Years.
Yeah, that guy is,
he's the most talented. Yeah, he's already the most talented player on that team, in my opinion. Obviously, he's leading them hits and like runs driven in already, and I think he's up there in home runs on the team lead. I mean, Adrian's a good hitter, Puig's a decent player, Turner's the Red Devil, but the Seager guy is somebody that we're gonna have to watch out for years. That kid's a stud. He makes it all look so natural. So they've got these like two young players that we're like, please fail, but they're gonna be good probably, and we're gonna see it for a while.
Yeah, so the series could have gone completely the other way. So the Giants, I think, should feel fortunate, and also, they played well. It's not that they got lucky. They played well. They had timely hitting. They had the great comeback in the 10th inning, despite going down by 1 run and coming against Jansen, who hadn't blown a save in like 2 years or something. Yeah. So that was fantastic. That was great timing there.
They had 3 hits in the first 9 innings, and then 4 straight hits off Jansen.
Yeah, he gets the first guy, and then suddenly 4 hits in a row. I mean, things come in bunches sometimes, and
it's like there's the team I know.
Yeah, just wrapped him out there.
Yep.
So they lead the NL West by 5 now over the Dodgers, and I believe 7.5 over the Rockies. So a nice, comfortable lead in June, but it would be nice to see that thing grow a little bit further. And it looks like you wrote down here that they actually now have the 3rd best record in the National League, and actually 4th in the entire majors.
Yeah, so, Texas is the only American League team, and they're like percentage points behind the Nats, and then the Cubs are, the Cubs.
The Cubs are just silly.
Yeah, they really are.
For all the crap that their fans are spewing, which is fine. It's like, look, you guys deserve it right now. You guys are unbelievable, but it's just be careful what you tweet and talk about, because, we all remember the Seattle Mariners. Yeah, from 2001 or something?
Yep,
whatever it
2001, and then they ran into Clemens in the LCS. Yeah, the thing about the Cubs...
15 wins?
Yeah, the Cubs have 116. The Cubs have won 21 games by 5 or more runs. 21 games by 5 or more runs, and they've only lost 18 games.
Yeah, that's incredible.
It is. That's absolutely ridiculous. Like, they're setting new records, and that's fine because, we all know it all comes down to it. That's, like I've said before, the NLCS we expect to see. So that's another stratosphere. Yeah, the Giants, with the 3rd best record in the NL, they're just kind of jockeying with the Nats right now.
Yeah, they're playing well, so that's good. 5-5 in June, that's okay. We'll take it right now. Hopefully they can finish a little bit better at the end of the month. So yeah, speaking of Mr. Belt, Senor Belt, the giraffe, the Giants have been stuck on number 68 in terms of splash hits for about 2 years, I think. 2014 was their last one.
Yeah, September.
Yeah, and so he promptly delivered number 69 and had some just great post-game deadpanners. Did you see those?
I actually did not. I really didn't.
I should put them up on the website. They're fantastic. I'm sure most of you who are listening to this have seen those, but yeah, it was great. I mean, he's just talking about, we've been stuck there for a while, but it wouldn't be bad if we just kind of sat on that number for a while, kind of a long time. It'd be kind of nice to see that up there every day. I mean, just completely deadpanned it.
There's quite a few Giants Twitterers who have changed their little handle or their banner to the 69 splash hit sign.
I've seen that too. Yeah, and he said it was, a lot of the players were just hoping that they would be the ones to hit number 69. So he feels honored, and he deserves that honor.
Nothing will make grown men and women giggle more with baseball-related activities than 69. It's like, it's hilarious. We all just turn into little kids and just start kind of laughing about it. The players are included in that. The guys who cover the broadcasters, we all kind of chuckle. You can't help it.
Yeah. Little kids are like, why? What? What's so funny about that? Oh, nothing. Nothing at all, son.
And all I can think about is like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. 69 dudes.
Oh, that would be a great montage for them to put up on the Jumbotron, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. End it with 6. Yeah, it really would.
Oh, that's
Bill
great.
and Ted. Bill and Ted: Excellent Adventure, all-time classic.
That
All right.
was that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
You know what I was bummed about this weekend is that I wanted to see a little bit of the 1986 team celebration with the pregame festivities, but because it was nationally televised on Fox, it wasn't carried locally. It sucked. So I had to tune in on Twitter. I was looking at pictures and stuff, but I wanted to see the full 30-minute ceremony. They always broadcast those on CSN, Bay Area, but they didn't have the game, so didn't see it at all.
Yeah.
Which really
I
sucked.
didn't consider that. I thought to myself, I'm like, oh, there's probably no feed, So I did something else up until game time. I hadn't even considered that you guys wouldn't get to see it. It's always on CSN.
Yeah, I was looking for it. I didn't realize it was a Fox game until I was looking around and found that out, and it was like, oh, they're not putting on the pregame. Of course, why would they? National TV would never do that. So it's a local interest, exactly. 30 minutes of 1986 memories for the country. Nah, it's probably not going to work. One recent topic has come up. Madison Bumgarner wants to participate in the home run derby, and I think we all know. He had that third deck shot down at Busch Stadium. That was a moonshot. Holy crap!
Yeah, it was.
I don't care if it's BP. Just the fact that he is strong enough to hit the ball that far is just incredible.
He says it. He says he's swinging for the home run every time. He doesn't care, and he could hit it with the big boys. He is on the same pace as Mike Trout and Bryce Harper right now. There was some crazy stat after that game that in their last 190 plate appearances, all of them had hit 11 home runs.
Yeah, I saw that. That was fantastic.
Yeah, that was absolutely amazing. And that's why it's funny because, the home run derby and all the talk came about, what was it, last Sunday night during that Cardinals game where all the chatter of Bum would like to be in it. And now all these other, pitchers are starting to throw their hat in the ring. Arrieta and Wainwright and Syndergaard. They all think they can do the same thing as Bumgarner.
Yeah, it's kind of silly. Those guys can hit home runs, and they have hit home runs, but let's be honest, it's just nothing like Bumgarner. They can't hit the ball like him. Now, that being said, if Major League Baseball were ever to entertain this idea, which they're not going to, and the Giants, if they let him participate, which Bochy already came out and said there's no way we would let him. So, it's already not going to happen. We all know this. But if they were, in a hypothetical world, they couldn't put him in with the regulars. They just wouldn't do that because he would be taking away a spot from a power hitter, right?
Yeah.
So they've been talking about, well, wouldn't it be fun to have a pitcher's home run derby? And, kind of the same format. But then again, I think Bum could actually maybe advance around in the regular home run derby just because some of these power hitters come and hit one or two because they don't handle the pressure or the format is a little awkward for them. Or remember the one year Mike Piazza had 0? Stuff like that happens. So
But you remember
see him.
they changed the format last year. I don't know if they're sticking with it, where they did some stupid ass thing with timed rounds. And there's no way I want Bumgarner swinging his ass off for a minute and a half straight.
I totally forgot about that. So yeah, it's a timed format, and if you reach a certain number, then you get bonus time, and it's really weird. So, but
these pitchers, it's funny because they think that, Bum's a pitcher and he can hit, and we're pitchers and he can hit. If Bumgarner and, say the pitchers we were mentioning had a home run contest of their own, the only way he loses is if he's swinging with an axe. And then even then, he might have a chance to hang in there. It's kind of ridiculous that they think that they can do that. They're not the same kind of athletes. No. Bumgarner's just a different guy, and it's not – don't hurt him. I'd love to see it. It's all in good fun. It really is. We all know that. I'd love to see him swing for the fences like crazy, but, come on. If he hurts himself, could Giants fans live with themselves? Yeah. Could Bochy? Could Evans? Could Sabian? Could Major League Baseball?
Exactly. I would be so worried about that because plenty of professional baseball players, let alone, beer league softball or amateur baseball like I played, there were occasions I hurt myself on a swing, trying to swing too hard, pull the lat, something like that. The wrist kind of tweaks. Yeah. It definitely happens. And could you imagine him pulling like his lat or a bicep or, spraining his wrist on a follow through or anything like that where suddenly, he's on the shelf for 6 weeks.
It's just so much torque of the body over and over.
And could you imagine?
over.
I mean, I know he tries in batting practice to hit home runs, but if he was on the national stage trying to jack home runs, oh my God. I mean, he'd be at 110%. I mean, he would just be letting it fly, and it just increase the chance for any injury. I mean, yeah.
And he'd probably come through real well. Bum's good on the big stage.
Yeah,
He'd probably kill it.
I'd love to see it, but it's just not going to happen. So that's okay. It's fun anyway to talk about. So speaking of injury, I know that Buster Posey's had a little bit of a thumb issue lately, and I don't know exactly what the nature of the injury is, but I think it might be affecting his grip.
Yeah, right.
So there's two main pieces of evidence we're going to talk about. One, of course, are his numbers, and he even called them pedestrian, and they are. He's hitting 252 or something like that right now. He's in the low 250s. Over the last 7 games, he's only hitting 167, and the last 30 games overall, only 225. These are not Buster Posey numbers. And, he missed a couple of games because of apparently a thumb injury of some sort. And then what was exhibited in the weekend series against the Dodgers, something I don't think any of us have ever seen in our lives, he did twice. So for those of you out there, I'm sure you've seen it. He swung, and maybe because of his grip strength, maybe because of his thumb, I don't know. He swings and launches his bat into the screen, but it sticks like a fly in a spider web. It just boing, about 20 feet off the ground, and they couldn't even retrieve it until the inning break with a big ladder. And the very next game yesterday, he did it again. He swung. This time it was a little bit lower, and it stuck right in the net once again behind home plate. That's just bizarre, number one, to have it happen twice in a row when it never happens. But I mean, do you think, I haven't really heard any definitive kind of bits of evidence or any quotes from him saying, yeah, my thumb caused me to let that bat go?
No, it's funny. I think it is a byproduct of the thumb, but I don't think it's just because. I mean, he had a shot, he had nerve irritation, so they really, that's why they kept him out as long as they could. Yeah. So you didn't have to grip the bat as often and do things like that. I think Buster, because I was personally this kind of hitter, I had a very loose grip on my bat as well. Mm-hmm. I think Buster's just the kind of guy that has a loose grip on the bat. You watch how it goes from that flat over a shoulder position to slowly moving up before he swings into the pitch. I think it's just part of his his swing, and the fact that his thumb's been sore, he hasn't been able just to stop it like he normally does. Tighten the grip at the end to make sure he holds on to it, even if it's just the follow through where the top hand comes off and the bottom hand is still holding on to it. So I think that's kind of what it is. It's funny. I've seen things like that before. I've seen bats get stuck between poles and fences. There's plenty of games I've umpired where balls would shoot up, and those people kept looking up at the bat. We'd have to keep looking up during the the rest of that half inning to make sure we weren't going to get conked, and then take care of it in between innings. I totally understood. There was this lady. She was taking pictures. She's looking at the field. She keeps looking up. She's looking at the field. She keeps looking up. I totally get that. I think it's like a byproduct. I don't think it's something he'll do over and over. It's not something he's done a lot in the past. Yeah. So I think he holds his bat well, just very loosely. I think he's comfortable with it. It's funny though. His swing is better. The last couple of days, the base hit to win the game Saturday. Yep. He lined out in the at bat before that.
Yeah, he was mad. He was pissed about that.
Yeah, he got rid of the bat he left in the net. That went into the net after that at bat. He was finally making more solid contact. He wasn't hitting the tip of the bat and rolling it over as much. Mm-hmm. He was driving it through, and you could see that his swing's starting to come around. And if that happens and he gets hot, it's going to be helpful, because it seems like the rest of the guys are starting to get a little bit better offense and a little better swings going on right now.
Yeah, Belt is obviously probably their best active player hitter right now, I would say.
He is. He leads them in hits, doubles, walks. He's got an OPS of 923, which is tied with Bryce Harper.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
He's 6th in the National League in the OPS. He also leads, I think, he's got 3 triples. I know there was one other thing, but I lost but he's leading the team in all those hitting, except for RBI. Pence still leads the team in runs driven in, and then Belt's behind him.
Yeah, he's one of those guys where every year we expect great things of him, and he gets hurt, or there's a slump, or something like that. He just has not reached his full potential, I think, is what most Giants fans would agree with. So, I mean, I'm hoping that, we're only a third of the way through the year, but he's doing it so far, and God forbid if he doesn't get another concussion or leg injury or whatever, some freak accident.
Yeah, he got that big contract, and he's doing it now. He and Posey both have 8 home runs to lead the team.
Yeah, exactly. So he's on pace for over 20 home runs, which is fantastic. And, maybe he'll hit close to 300. That'd be fantastic. The Giants overall as a team, they hit a little bit better last year. Right now they're hitting 249, which puts them right in the middle of the pack of the National League, 8th out of 15. But I was surprised to see this. The Dodgers are third to last at 232. Woo! Just ahead of the Phillies and Braves. I mean, that's pretty god-awful.
They were talking on the broadcast last night about how the Giants and Dodgers were like the 2 worst hitting teams over the previous 10 days or 14 days or something like that. And then here they were facing off, and the whole series was like 2-1, 4-3, 3-2, that kind of stuff. Yep, all those close games because they all got hits, but they could never get the second hit.
Yeah, well, their starting pitching obviously has kept them in it. That's why they are leading the National League West right now. You were mentioning that Duffy's been
Duffy's starting to come around too. He's got a hit finally. He's got a hit in each of his last 6 games. His splits, his home to road splits, I don't have that specific number in front of me, but I know it's some outrageous number where he's like hitting 123 on the road and almost 300 at home. He seemed to got settled back in now that they've been at home for the last 5 games, and they have another 3 against Milwaukee. But I think he's fixed the mechanical flaw in his swing. He'd been getting his upper body out in front of the ball, and that's why he'd been hitting those weak fly balls. Like that's why Matt Kemp was playing him right down the right field line. Yeah. Because he was hitting those weak balls off the end of his bat, or he was just tapping them over to the second baseman or the shortstop. He homered the other day. What was that? Who did he hit a homer off? Kershaw. Yeah. The other day. Yeah, that was quite the bomb. And you could see that he got the bat head out in front. That was his best swing in probably a month and a half. His whole body was quiet and exploded through at the exact same time. He was able to keep his weight back because his front half didn't get out in front of his body and ahead of it, because you need to have everything behind. As a hitter, you need to have your weight back until the moment you shift it to get the most power and maximum in your swing when you make contact with the baseball. And he seems to have figured it out. I just hope he doesn't lose it when the Giants, go on the road again this weekend, because he just can't seem to hit away.
Yeah, you want to hear the splits?
Yeah, I do.
342 at home, 130 on the road.
That's ridiculous. That's a 210-point difference. That's a whole nother player.
That is stupid. Yeah, he's got 120 at-bats at home and 115 at-bats on the road, so they're basically even. But he's got 41 hits at home and only 15 on the road.
Right. It should be even. The Giants have played 64 games, 32 on the road, 32 at home. Yeah. All those stuff should be – that's ridiculous. So I don't know what the hell the deal is with that.
I don't know either. Yeah, his on-base percentage on the road is 198. Oof.
Oh, yeah. Oof. That's why I don't understand why he's been hitting third. I've been whining. I mean, it's funny that he's settled into 5th since Bochy made this little switch, but I was so tired of watching him hit third. It was like an out every single time. But he's fixed it, so maybe, mixing the lineup up. I don't know, and hopefully Bam Bam got with him, and that's why he's hitting better now.
Brandon Belt with the best road average, 339.
Wow. And he's hitting 297 overall.
Yeah, so he's only hitting 250 at home, Brandon Belt.
That's amazing. His walks, you know why? Because he's getting eaten up in Triples Alley on some of those long fly balls, probably.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I wonder how much the shift. Well, the shift is done either on the road or at home, but
yeah,
he's been nailed by that. One of these. He's done it a couple of times, I know, but I swear I want to see him do it just a little more often. Is do that bunt against the shift. Yeah. I really do, especially if he's leading off an inning. That's like where it, or even if there's a runner on, well, I guess if there's a runner on second, they don't shift that much. But you know what I mean? A runner on first, or if you're leading off an inning, bunt that sucker down the third base line. Yeah, you're not getting a home run or a double, but you're getting on base if you can control it, if he really works on it. And there's just no way they're going to throw him out if he bunts it past the pitcher down the line. He's fine.
No. Adrian Gonzalez tried to do that last night.
I saw that, yeah.
And he just failed miserably.
He just failed.
I mean,
Well, that's why, you have to work on it. You can't just pull it, out of your,
right.
Out of the tool chest cold. But
I also don't think a one-run game. I don't know. I don't think a one-run game in the ninth is the time to do it. You get paid more money to hit than you do to necessarily get on base. I know that sounds weird, but he does.
Yeah.
So I think he should swing away in that point. But Belt, leading off an inning like his second time through the order is the best time to do it.
Yeah.
If he had hit into the shift the first time up, I agree. I'd love to see him try to do that.
Yeah, and I'm sure they've talked about it. I mean, it's not.
Oh, yeah.
They know about it, but
He's got enough back control that he can do it, and his eye is, as we see, pretty damn good. I mean, he's leading them with 41 walks, and it feels like he's walking like every other game right now.
Yeah, exactly. So, Timmy always comes up in every other podcast. He still does, even though he's no longer with us. But he has, 3 starts now in AAA for the Salt Lake Bees, and he had a no-hitter through 6 yesterday.
It's crazy.
That's amazing. It's amazing. So he struggled a little bit his first 2 starts. Not horrible, but, it's kind of typical Timmy when he was with the Giants. But what I've read is that was going to be his last AAA start, and then he was going to be called to the club. I haven't heard anything since yesterday. Have you?
I haven't heard anything. Yeah, I haven't heard anything concrete. But the way it lines up is Timmy would be starting for the Angels at Oakland Saturday.
Yeah. So how about that? Man.
Yeah, Giants fans are going to go out.
Oh, that's going to be something. That is going to be something, just to see him in another uniform. Unfortunately, it's the Angels. It's not the Dodgers or anything, but it's just like, oh, really? The Angels?
Yeah, but, you know, I get over it. It's Timmy.
I know. He wanted to sign somewhere, and they gave him an offer, and, $2 million guaranteed. It's like, shit. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
He already made his bank anyway, so.
He wants to prove himself, and he needs to. So.
It's not about the money, Like you said, he just wants to prove to everyone that he can still pitch. That's his main goal right now.
I hope he doesn't get rocked. I hope he does well. I don't need to see some, one-hit masterpiece, but as long as he gives his team a chance and pitches well, that's good. I don't care about the result. Just want to see Timmy do well.
Well, the Angels are desperate right now, so.
Yeah. I mean, they're not going anywhere this year. It's not a threat. We're not going to see them in the World Series, so the Giants don't have to worry about that, So, we can enjoy Timmy from afar.
Yeah. So we mentioned it a little bit earlier, but Hunter Pence is leading the team in RBIs and home runs and batting average, and he's been on the DL now for more than a week. So I guess he had a hamstring tear, and he had surgery to repair that, and I know something about hamstring tears. They're not fun, but they expected him to be about 8 weeks, so that puts him back on the roster in August. And, man, it just, for a guy who is Mr. Ironman, I mean, he never missed a game. He never missed a game, 400 and something consecutive games, it was over 800 something consecutive games, and he just was one of those everyday players. And then, he's run into a couple of injury buzzsaws over the last couple of years, and it's not his fault. No one's going to blame him. He's not Jeremy Affeldt cutting his finger with, separating frozen burgers or something, or throwing his kid up in the air and twisting his knee or something.
No, it's a hustle injury, which is what we expect from him. Yeah, it's what we, it's going to be a shot in the arm in August. It really is. No matter what they decide to do. Did you hear, I should have put this in, the Bob Nightingale tweeted a rumor today that the Giants have had discussions with Milwaukee about Ryan Braun.
Yep.
And I got to say, Giants fans, I know the knee-jerk reaction is, no, steroids, yada, yada, yada. Personally speaking, I wouldn't mind it. The guy would fill the need that they need. I know we can give Mac a shot and Jarrett Parker's got a shot, but, I'd be okay with Braun. He's proven. He's decent in the field. He's got a decent arm. The guy can hit the ball. The Giants, aside from, Belt, don't have a lot of length. Nobody's hitting home runs. But Braun was the one that was mentioned to maybe come in, but Pence, he'll be a shot in the arm come August when he comes back. He really will. Yeah,
I think we all know, we've always heard how the Giants were well over 500 when Pence is in the lineup, and they're well under 500 with him out of the lineup. And so far, they're basically 500. So we'll see what happens here, but hopefully it's not going to have a dramatic effect on their performance. But man, it's a big loss. It's a big loss, but they're going to need to count on these guys to step it up. Mac Williamson's been up, and he's made a nice catch the other day, and he's hit one home run, and
off of David Price to win the game.
Literally bounced off the very top of the fence, which is insane. A little bit of a wall skipper there.
and then he almost blew it. He dropped the ball in the
Mm-hmm.
outfield, and it was absolutely crazy. Good for him. But yeah, it's funny. I wrote down here and I forgot to write. Yay for Mac. Good for him. He got his first home run. It was a game winner.
Yeah.
It was off of David Price, a Cy Young winner. Sunday he made a spectacular catch on a ball that was tailing away from him towards the line.
He saved a run.
Yeah, he was absolutely parallel to the ground. He was flat. He was absolutely flat out diving for that ball. So yay for Mac. He's gotten a chance so far with Pence being out of the lineup.
Yeah. But like you said, there are those rumors about kicking the tires for a Ryan Braun trade, and so personally, I don't like the guy. Obviously, for the way he's behaved over the years, and and how he, there was the whole cover up with what he did, but. Baseball players are just trying to do what they can to succeed. It just sucks that he had to be such a dick about everything.
Yeah, he was skeezy about it. I totally agree with that.
Yeah, I always worry about the team chemistry aspect. The Giants have just always had the best clubhouse chemistry, and everybody in the organization acknowledges that that's a huge part of their World Series title runs is that chemistry. And you just don't want someone coming in, it just kind of doesn't fit. Even if they perform well, you just don't want that happening. So I'm not saying Braun's a bad guy. I don't know how he is as a teammate. He might be a great teammate. But I wouldn't want that to affect anything. And it's funny just because the Giants' history and their connections to PEDs with bonds and stuff. Yeah. And then signing another guy who's pretty much, he's done it. So kind of want to get away from those guys. But then again, Ryan Braun is going to be a lot more productive than Blanco and Williamson and these guys in the outfield.
He really is. There's no two ways about it. He really would be. Plus depth. We talk about it all the time. And this is what happens. They signed Travis Ishikawa back to the minor league organization. Yeah. They signed Chris Denorfia to the minor league organization. Like, the Giants are just trying to stockpile depth right now because if one of those guys gets hot and can come up and help the club for a little bit, they know they're in a position to win it this year. Yeah. So I think Braun would just be another piece of that depth puzzle. They need a longer, stronger bench. And strengthening the top helps the bottom just the same.
Yeah, and, if they did somehow trade for Ryan Braun and then Hunter Pence comes back in August, and if they do, God forbid, make the playoffs, you're talking about Braun, Pence, and Span in the outfield. That's not too shabby.
No, it's not. And you're talking about Belt, Posey, Pence, and Braun all hitting back-to-back in some order in the middle of the lineup. All guys that can do huge damage at any moment.
Yeah. It's just that obviously the Brewers are going to ask for a lot from the Giants.
Yeah, I don't know what the Giants are willing to give up. I don't know if this is a BD thing or something else. This was just speculation.
I was totally thinking the same thing.
Yeah, it's just speculation, so we don't know yet what the cost would be. This is the start of rumors, so we'll see if it takes a lot.
So anyway, Casilla, man.
Oh, yeah.
WTF. Right. I'll be PC. Even though this is not a clean podcast, but I don't always have to curse.
Yeah, well, we don't always get the E, so we're all right.
Yeah. I just can't always recommend this podcast to other kids. When I tell them about it, they're like, "Oh, you do a Giants podcast? Yeah. What's the name of it? I don't know. I kind of forgot. So don't worry about it."
Yep. Thanks for asking. Don't listen to your
Dad, Mr. King cusses on this podcast. It's like, oh boy, I got to be careful with that. Yeah. So Casilla, I think we were chatting a little pre-show here. You and I have been pretty ardent supporters of the guy. He has this. I characterize it as an unfair demonizing by a lot of Giants fans who, when he came out and he replaced Romo for a little while, vice versa, before Romo was the closer and he was the closer. He had a little stretch there where he hit a few bumps in the road, but overall his numbers were good. And Bochy had stuck with him, and now he's back, of course, and he's been here for a couple years closing. I got to admit, this year it's not looking so good for him. We're talking 4 blown saves, but like you said, a couple of these also happened when they were tie games, so they weren't even blown saves. So there's a lot of these things that aren't exactly captured in statistics. But let's just say your closer has 4 already. He's on pace for 12, 13 blown saves this year.
Yeah,
that's completely unacceptable. That is completely unacceptable. Not to mention the blown ties late in the game too. It can make a difference. Even if he reduces that by 5 or 6 or 7 blown saves, that could absolutely be the difference in the postseason this year. And they need to find a solution for this, and I don't know what that solution is right now.
Yeah. I don't know either. Again, there's rumors on other people. Casilla, it sucks because his stuff is so nasty at times. It really is. His pitches have so much bite to them. They just fall right off the table. And then he goes out on Friday night and throws a cement mixer over the middle of the plate for the evil leprechaun to knock over the wall and the Dodgers to beat the Giants.
These names you have for Turner, that's funny.
It's funny because he's pitched. It's amazing. I'm looking at this. Casilla has pitched in every game on this homestand already. And he blew the 2 games that were tied, the first Boston game and the Friday night Dodger game. And I gave up after the Dodger game. I think his head is gone. I think that he has a hard time getting the first hitter of an inning out, and his head is just not there. And he's not as confident as he once was. And I mean, I'm sure he could refute this all he wants, but I think it goes back to a month ago when Bochy came out in the middle of an inning.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yep, against the game against Arizona. Even though the Giants got out of it, he pitched around Goldschmidt, and he knew what he was doing in his mind. And then Boch came out and yanked him and put in Javi to get the final out, and I think that stuck with him. And I don't know if it's a confidence issue or if it's the body reacting type thing, but he just doesn't seem to have it anymore. And I'm with you. I don't know what the answer is. Maybe when Romo's healthy, he can give it a shot again. I don't think the answer is in the bullpen right now, aside from Casilla, though. So if Bochy just mixes and matches at the end of games, I'll be fine with that.
Yeah, I think that's what he has that limited vote of confidence he's had. He's like, yeah, Casillas are still our best option right now. He's almost saying like, yeah, he's kind of letting us down, but who else do we have? So given what we have, he's still our best option. It's not really a strong vote of confidence.
It's not.
It's kind of like, looking in your freezer and you're like, oh, I got the crappy Neapolitan that has ice, crystals all over it. Well, it's still ice cream. It's the only ice cream I got. All right, I'll eat it.
And just the strawberries left.
Yeah, just crap! It's just the strawberry. Wow.
I'm just saying. I'm a chocolate guy, so
yeah, that's true. Same way, but Lopez is great for specific, situations against lefties, but he's not a closer. His splits against righties just aren't that good. Hunter Strickland, I think, eventually can be that guy, but I think he just still needs more marinating here in the big leagues. I just don't think he's quite ready. His pitch selection has kind of proven that. He can blow the doors off people, but his location he needs to get better at.
That pitch to Jock last night proved that point. When Jock knocked that ball in the water, that was Hunter not being able to close yet.
Yep, he's too susceptible to the long ball, as we saw in the playoffs in 2014 when he gave up 7 bombs.
Yeah,
just
it's funny that was his first home run given up since last season, actually.
But he
does. It's like you said, he hangs a lot of pitches in the center of the plate, and those balls get hit hard, regardless if it's the gap or over the wall.
Yeah, and when you're a closer, 1-run games, that's the one thing. Your Achilles heel, you just cannot have. You just cannot be given up. You can have a guy like Samardzija, because he's a starter, and I know we didn't even touch on him about this or about him in this podcast, but he gave up 4 bombs 2 starts ago. That just was not good. And so he's starting to show. I mean, he had been kind of the top 3 there. They'd all been pitching really, really well. His ERA was still under 3, but his last couple of starts have not been so good, including those 4 bombs he gave up. And
you want to hear some stats on him real quick?
Yeah.
Okay, over his last 3 starts, he has 14 2/3 innings pitched. He's given up 22 hits.
Ooh.
Yeah, 13 runs, 12 of those are earned. He's only walked 4, but he's only struck out 9 in 14 2/3 innings.
So 12 runs and 14 2/3. Yeah, that's
and he hasn't lasted past 5 innings in each of his last 3 starts. It's been 5, 5, and 4 2/3. So when he's been getting hit hard. 346 batting average on balls in play against.
Yeah, that's not good at all. Not good at all. I just, he started the season with such a bang. It was like, all right, this is the guy I thought I was hoping we would get. I wasn't expecting it, but I was hoping it. This guy now is kind of more towards that line of expectation. Not as bad as this, but as he trends towards like a 4.0 ERA, that's kind of where I expected him to be. and he's at 3 something right now.
368, I think, is what I just saw.
Yeah, but I mean, to see how rapidly it's ascended, it's increased. He was like at a 2.84 just a week or two ago, and it's already gone up almost a full run.
3.36. Okay.
I
see. Yeah, I see where I totally saw that. Then.
So overall, his numbers are still solid for a major
it's gone
league
from
starter.
254 to 336 over his last 3 starts.
Yeah. So I mean, he was in all-star consideration, but now he's not. He's fallen out of favor there.
I mean, if it's a flaw, hopefully they fix it. Hopefully Rags can do something. But we'll see. Matt Cain starting tonight against the Brewers. So if he comes back, who knows? Matt Cain might be that third horse and the 3-headed animal at the start of the rotation.
Yeah, before he got hurt, his numbers were looking pretty good. He had 3 or 4 really good quality starts. He's been turning the corner. I just hope that the injury didn't set him back. Where I mean is, when you haven't pitched in a couple of weeks, and then you come back, sometimes you're a little rusty. So we'll see tonight. See if he's going to have any of that rust. I mean, Jake Peavy, he's been Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I mean, first of all, he was just crap the first 8 starts that he had. Lately, though, he's been 1 good start, 1 bad start, 1 good start, 1 bad start. So his last start before yesterday was not good, but last night was excellent. It was absolutely excellent, Yeah. So no runs, he got the win. By the way, his 150th of his career, so congratulations to him. So, it's one of those things you and I were kind of calling for him to be replaced. Suarez, of course, has come in and replaced Cain, and I think he filled in pretty well. Very admirably for, he is like that, oh my gosh, why am I blanking on his name?
Petite?
Yeah, he's like the new Petite.
He is. He handled it well. He pitched well as a starter. Apparently, Peavy had some neck soreness last night, and they didn't know if he was going to go, and they had Suarez ready to take the start.
Oh, I didn't
if
know
Peavy's if Peavy's neck stiffness didn't clear up, he got some treatment in the 3rd inning and was able to stay out there. But they were close to swapping him out for Suarez last night.
Kidding. And then he goes and he dives on that first base play. That was insane.
Right?
Slams his head on the ground. I didn't even know he had a neck issue. That's hilarious.
Yeah. He probably loosened up after that.
Yeah, maybe that helped him. He's like, oh, chiropractor. Boom. Done. I like Jake. I mean, he's a very gutty performer. He always leaves it out on the field. He's just screaming and yelling and trying as hard as he can. It's just that the results haven't really been there most of the year. Yeah, but to see a pitcher, work his ass off like that. Now, granted, if you look at the replay, he waits about a second before he starts running to the bag. Yes. So it was kind of like, well, if you had just started right away, you wouldn't have had to dive like that. But yeah, at least I can respect his commitment to the play.
Oh yeah, he leaves it out there.
Yeah.
So like I said, Cain's pitching tonight. So they've got what this week is 3 more at home against Milwaukee, and then they come down to Florida. And play an interleague series in Tampa at the end of the weekend. And my Friday 5 will be back before that Tampa series. Mm-hmm. I had missed this past week. I had some stuff to do on Friday. I just didn't get back home in time to do it. So for the 13 people out there that read it, thank you. The Friday 5 will be back up on Friday before
it's more than
Giants
that. I've seen the stats. It's definitely more than that. By the way, any chance you can make one of those games?
No, I wanted to, but just it doesn't look like it's going to be in the cards. I ended up choosing my own vacation over that, and I don't regret it a bit.
No, that's fine. I was just curious because, unfortunately, my schedule because of softball, which is over now for my daughter, but also school, and I had a couple of work trips. I haven't been able to make any games lately, and it's really killing me.
How is softball over in at the beginning of June? Is it always like that by you guys?
Yeah. So they've just started All-Stars, and interesting thing. I'm sure a lot of people have been affected by this over the years, but Little League politics are pretty awful, and I've tried to put myself aside and avoid the board and people who are involved in that. I just want to coach and have fun. And long story short, because of some things that happened on the board that I deemed as pretty unfair, I had some of my friends who've been in the league for a very long time warn me, don't challenge the board because they will screw you in the end. And so I challenged the board, and I actually did get some changes made that I think benefited the league. But one of the people that I had affected, it was about having how many teams you could have, And so the board members were regularly, there was a couple of them that always were coaching 2 teams because they have 2 kids, right? So they're coaching 2 teams. But that's okay if there's a lack of coaches in those divisions. But what was happening is they were qualified, experienced coaches who were getting 0 teams. So
no.
Yeah, the board was taking care of their own. And I challenged them, and they said, well, there's nothing in our bylaws which prohibits it. And I said, so a board member could have 5 teams, hypothetically? And they're like, well, okay, don't get ridiculous. I said, no, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous because, this happened to me last year. I can't have a team, even though I was coaching this league for 3 or 4 years. I'm experienced. I'm qualified. But you're saying, no, it's better that a board member has 2 teams, even though she can only be in one place at a time. So the previous year when she had 2 teams, there was a lot of other players that complained that she wasn't always there. So I said, I think that's a greater disservice to the girls. It's about the girls, not about the coaches, not about the board members. It's about the girls. So I upset this woman who was on the board. And last year, my daughter made All-Stars for the 9 and 10-year-olds as a 9-year-old. This year, she had an even better year. She hit over 600, led our team in stolen bases, doubles, runs, only struck out 3 times. I mean, she was just a hell of a player and a great defender, played shortstop all year long. So she was a lock. But what happened is that woman who coaches in our division, they won the entire thing. They won the playoffs. They won the championship. And the championship manager, of course, gets to be the all-star manager. So even though my daughter qualified for the team in terms of number of votes from the other coaches, the manager has discretion to remove anyone that doesn't have the maximum number of votes.
Oh, that's horrible. No kid should get caught in the crossfire of stupid parental little league politics.
Happens all the time, though.
That is so stupid. I hate that.
It's the first time it happened to me personally.
Yeah.
It's a good thing my daughter was like, whatever, at least we have more time now this summer. She's taking it like a champ. Me, I'm the one that's pissed, which I shouldn't be because, again, it's about her. And if she's not upset, then I shouldn't be upset. But anyway, I know there's probably some parents out there who've been dealing with Little League politics. And it's a real shame that this happens. But, it kind of reminds me of the major leagues when, you have a manager who, they try to take care of their own. And sometimes you see a Bruce Bochy or others, they add another giant to the roster, It does happen. So, like this woman, there's 15 players on the roster, right? There's 5 teams in the league. So we would average 3 players per team, even though that's not a requirement. Our team only had 2. 2 other teams only had 2. We had only voted 2 of her players on the team. She placed 3 additional. She has a total of 5 of her own players, making up 1/3 of the entire team. Yeah, and you see this stuff, and it's really unfortunate. And I just wish parents and adults could act a little more civil. But
good for you.
Like
for
my
working
daughter
on the rule
said,
change.
plus she landed a lead in a play, so her schedule would have been prohibitive anyway.
Oh,
so.
Good for her then.
So, yeah, she's happy as a clam. So sorry for that aside, listeners, but I'm sure some of you have dealt with those politics if you have children. So it's fun times. Speaking of children, I need to go pick mine up.
Yeah, it looks like it.
So, yeah, we have 3 versus Milwaukee, and then go 3 at Tampa Bay. Too bad you can't make it. That's okay. It's always interesting when they go on the road for these interleague series when they haven't played there, in 6 years or so, it seems like. Although you were there. When was the last time they were there?
It was 3 years ago.
It was 3 years ago. That's right.
August.
It's rare that they're visiting the same team 3 years. Usually they alternate, It's
and they'll change the venue which way they do it. Like the Rays would come out there. Like we had the Blue Jays in town, and the Giants had the Blue Jays in town for a couple of games 3 years ago too. It was weird.
Yeah, it's weird how the schedule works like that. It's not always balanced. But,
yeah, I watched Timmy versus Price 3 years ago.
That's right.
Trop.
Oh my God.
And now Price is Red Sox and Timmy is an Angel.
Yeah. Maybe you can see that matchup again if you go to Boston or something.
Yeah, right. That's kind of crazy. Wow. All right.
All right, well, that'll...
Tampa should be interesting. We'll have a DH this weekend, so it'll be a new game.
That's right. I'll have a DH. Yeah. Well, I'd rather have bum hitting, but that's okay. All right, that's going to do it for episode 106 of the TortureCast. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at TortureCast. We also have a YouTube channel. You can follow us individually, myself at ChadK21, Eric at 2 Out Hits, that's with the number 2, And for the absent Willie Dills, just at Willie Dills. And for Ben, it's at Fried Duck. You can also check us out at torturecast.com, where we do post this episode, all of these episodes, and of course Eric's fine Friday 5. Wait, did I get that right? I'm saying
he did.
F's.
That was a mouthful. Yeah, that was
Fine
freaking
Friday
fabulous.
5. Friday, yeah. Anyway, so it's an excellent write-up, a summary of the last week's happenings. So be sure to check up on that. Otherwise, for the absent Willie and Ben, and for Eric, this is Chad signing off, and we'll see you next time. Boom.
A big thank you to everybody for listening to the Torture Cast, the podcast by and for fans of the San Francisco Giants. Follow us on Twitter at TortureCast. You can also like us on Facebook or check out our blog at torturecast.com. I also want to say thank you to Ashcon and Bailey for letting us use their song Feeling Like a Giant for our intro. For Ben Lee and Chad King, my name is Willie Dills saying, we'll see you next time.